The Goyt Valley is very good in many ways. When you start to walk around it and you really start to get to know it and look at it, it's got such a diversity of moorland plants, it's got so much wildlife, insect life, bat life even.
If you want to get out of the town or the city and just be surrounded by complete nature, in silence, in peace, hear the wind, this is the place.
We're just spitting distance from Macclesfield, Buxton is just over the hill, you know, Manchester is just over the hill. But when you're out on these moors, you can feel like you're in wild places.
It's an incredible beauty spot as well. We've got all sorts of little pockets of little ecosystems and different flora and fauna all over the Peak District, from waterfalls and forests and bogs. There's loads of variety.
There's so many special things in there. If you just take the time to look, there's so many special things.
I don't think people necessarily appreciate the outdoors until they spend lots of time in it. When you're in it, whatever it is that you're doing, whether you're sort of like hiking, climbing, cycling, swimming, you just feel small.
I suppose it's that cliche of mental health, isn't it? It just clears your mind and just a great place to be.
It just reminds you you're alive.
And once you get your head around that, you fall in love with it very quickly.
So it started on the 30th of April 2025. I'm guessing mid-morning.
It was a really beautiful, warm, sunny day.
We arrived for work as normal. It was a nice spring day. I think we'd had quite a dry spring, and we saw this small plume of smoke over in the Goyt Valley. And of course it's like a concern, but at the time it was just like a small plume. It was, you know, it looked like a bonfire or something like that. It looked completely manageable. And I think everybody underestimated how quickly it would grow.
Me and my friend were finishing off the Wainwrights in the Lake District, and I looked at one of my WhatsApp groups and I said to my friend, this is ridiculous, look at the number of unread messages on here.
All the gamekeepers, we have a WhatsApp group pinged up from the gamekeepers that are working here now, that there's a fire in the Goyt on Fiddlemore.
We could see this plume of smoke, and we drove up onto Coalpit Lane to make sure that there were fire engines there, because we thought we've got to report this if something's happened.
We saw fire trucks arriving. There was one, then there was two, then there was five. Suddenly by lunchtime we were thinking, hang on, the fire's showing no sign of going out and there's more people arriving to tackle it. Should we be worried? And by sort of mid-afternoon we were like, I think this is actually quite much more serious than we first anticipated. Really, there was points when it was out of control and it was just doing its own thing, and it was just spreading.
I managed to get in touch with the farm just down the way, who I'm friends with, and they had to be evacuated, and they'd had to leave behind the horses, the sheep, even the cat, because they couldn't find the cat, and move out.
With us being a distillery, our outbuildings are full of ethanol and alcohol, so it's obviously not something that we would want to mix. I went back home to see my family, which is a good hour away, and I could see the smoke over the horizon, so the evening was really unsettled, and everybody in the area felt the same, you know. We just got this like imposing black cloud over all of us. Visually and emotionally, everybody felt under the weight of this huge, devastating fire.
Everything turned orange, and I looked up and this smoke cloud had passed in front of the sun, and it really became quite dystopian. People were talking about it, telling people to close their windows, things like that, bring in their washing. It was quite scary to see something like that happening so close to home.
just remember walking around. At first glance, it was destruction and just a burnt, charred landscape, just covered in ash.
The smell up here, when I got up here, when I got back, just this awful smell.
Birds' nests ruined and all the rest of it. 2 years of hard work and graft had sort of literally gone up in smoke.
We learnt just through chatting to people on the day that I think they call it a zombie fire, where there's a risk that the actual heat of the fire can spread underground without anybody being aware and crop up in other places. So everybody was hugely on their guard still the next week or so, just to make sure it was fully extinguished and there was no risk of it re-emerging or spreading. We knew there was complete devastation that had unfolded. We didn't really know the extent of it. The saddest thing, I think, is that curlews guard their nests regardless of what kind of threat is coming, so a lot of them had stayed with the nests.
It was just at the time when the red-listed birds were starting to nest. At that time of year, when you see curlew, you only ever see one of the pair, because there's always one on a nest and one's out feeding, and then they swap over. And what I noticed when I was monitoring the birds up here were quite a number of pairs of curlew together. So clearly they had lost their nest. You see curlews up in a place like this and you sort of think, oh yeah, there's plenty of curlews. But actually a lot of them are old. What's happening is the young aren't surviving. So an area like this is absolutely gold for these waders. If this all dries out and gets horribly damaged, then the curlew aren't going to survive. They're on a knife edge as it is.
The pictures that unfolded the next few days were really sad as well. There was, reptiles and amphibians and birds and all sorts who were just kind of carcasses left in the wake of the fire.
The plant loss, the habitat loss, the vulnerability of things, because once the fire has gone through, then the peat is incredibly fragile.
It was heartbreaking, really.
There was never any conclusive idea, I don't think, about how the fire had broken out, but it was obviously man-made.
Started by people, accidentally or otherwise, which does make you angry.
It happens very occasionally in the UK, lightning strike, etc. The fire service always say the three things, men, women and children. Even sunlight through a broken bottle, at the end of the day, that's an action by man, throwing litter out, rubbish out.
Was it the different stages of grief? It is like that, really. You do go through all the emotions.
I feel upset, angry, devastated that people don't care about the moorland. It's just a barren landscape. Let's just take a barbecue up and do whatever.
People describe it as barren, kind of desolate, really, place.
The Goyt is a sort of charismatic edge of that barren landscape. It touched a bit of a nerve with people that it's not a given that it's just going to be here if we don't look after it.
It was just a huge wake-up call that actually disaster can happen anywhere, anytime, really.
Climate change will be a series of events that we witness through a phone until we become the one filming it. And in that moment, I found myself filming it, and that phrase, that saying popped into my mind, and I thought, oh wow, okay, yeah, this is real, it's happening, it's here.
You can see the impacts of climate change occurring in the news. they can sort of become a little bit like white noise.
We've had wettest winters. We get these, east winds, which are very drying. If you get a naked flame in those areas, the vegetation just goes.
With everything getting so dry in the spring, there's always a chance. So of course it's going to burn. It's decompressed plant material. It will ignite very easily.
Oh, it's always going to be a risk, I suppose, every year, isn't it? And any weather is risky up here at this kind of remote altitude.
We're not going to stop them, but we can prevent them, in my view, being so big and so damaging.
It's important for Blanket Bog to be wet because for it to be in good ecological condition, it needs to be waterlogged. As far as fire is concerned, especially in a heating world, that's how we build the resilience into it. It was bad, but it wasn't terrible. Looking into the peat, and you could see that it hadn't burnt particularly deeply into the peat. The pools that Jim had made with peat dams were like little oases. They were still wet and they were still green, and there was still wildlife and caterpillars inside of them. His bits of restoration had actually reduced damage in places. We left site that day feeling much more hopeful that our work was making a difference and all the progress that we're making isn't going to be lost.
I'm sort of optimistic that people are slowly becoming more aware, and the more people that know about it, and the more we can engage with people and let them know why it's important and the consequences of some of the things that happen. And I think that's where we should channel our energy rather than getting angry about it all, because that's not going to solve the problem. I've invested not only a lot of money but also time, and just, I don't know, invested a lot in this plot. And to think that it could go in a matter of minutes, really, it could be wiped out.
I think there's something inherently hopeful or optimistic about our line of work. If we didn't feel like that on a deeper level, then we wouldn't be doing this. No point despairing.
This bit had been up for sale for a long time, and I think I spotted that dog in the shelter that nobody loves and was just neglected. And it just occurred to me that I could do something for it, I could help it. So I just saw a big opportunity, really, to be able to do something which in my lifetime possibly won't come to fruition, but will in the fullness of time really benefit this whole sort of area. I just thank the lucky stars that this didn't go. I just don't know what I'd do with myself if that happened. I've had this wall rebuilt, and while he was doing it, I just sort of said, do you know what I'd really love? I'd love a seat. And he built me it with a shelf for my binoculars and a shelf for my coffee. And it's a really good spot to watch the birds.
I suppose I first started coming down here and doing stuff, like when I was in the Scouts, we'd come down and bivvy up in the hills and things like that, and then bringing the kids down for picnics. It's just a beautiful area.
My grandparents would bring us like blackberry picking here back in the 80s or 90s.
My connection with here is having spent, a good part of my working life up here and bringing a family up.
Been looking to leave London for a long time, but for the right place, for the right opportunity. So this was sort of like my golden ticket.
We've lived here for 28 years. It's just been amazing. every day I feel so lucky to live here. We really like the wildness. I like the weather, I like the seasons to change, but I think maybe when the curlews come back, that call.
That isn't a curlew, that's my cone. Sorry.